Well, thank you for coming and joining me this morning with regular brothers. My name is Pascal. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Akord. Actually, let's talk about on-chain storage because I think that whatever blockchain you're building on, whatever ecosystem you're in, uh, on-chain storage is an option and particularly powerful for data representation. So the title of the talk was deliberately a bit provocative because when I talk to people about Web3 storage, decentralized storage, IPFS is what people will often tell me they use. I use IPFS or, decentralized storage IPFS, I get that. It's become synonymous with that space. IPFS is not actually a storage solution. Yes, it's decentralized and data on the network is immutable via the quantum identifiers, cryptographic hashes. But it's a completely off-chain network, and the IPFS blocks themselves is described as a peer-to-peer content distribution network. So it's very important to be clear about what IPFS is. And when we dig in, we read about garbage collection. So IPFS deletes data it thinks is no longer needed. So it's starting from this conditional starting point that data is going to be temporal and conditional, like always being used. And if it's not, it's going to be removed. This is where opinion services come in. And I'm sure some of you have heard of IOTA and NFT storage, the ones, and we'll sit to that one. And these services come in so that they can keep pinning the data to the network and achieve some kind of assistance. The issue, though, is you now introduce the centralized point in the whole flow, right? You've got these companies who you're relying on to keep feeding your data to the network. You have to keep paying a monthly fee. And surprise, surprise, sometimes these companies disappear, as Always NFT and S3 have done. And the irony with Always NFT is that they marketed themselves as the permanent pinning solution. All the other pinning solutions were, temporary and rubbish, that somehow Always NFT was the one that was going to be permanent, and less than 18 months later it no longer exists. So in the docs themselves, IPFS says that it doesn't guarantee that any content is persistently available. So IPFS is a great technology. Smash it too much. It's just the context. It's and that's very, very important when we're considering storing data for any period of time where we want to preserve it. Now, let's dig even deeper and think about cost, because these free services, you're paying a monthly fee. So at the beginning, you're looking at, for example, 10 gigabytes storage. The cost of IOTA, you get X number of gigabytes for $20 a month. It's a negligible starting point. But then if you're trying to preserve that data over a long period of time, the cost becomes astronomical. So what about firewall? If you know about IPFS and things services, you've probably heard of firewall as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail on firewall, but if anyone's trying to use Filecoin, not very easy. Go to the website, try and click all the obvious buttons. There's no web app, there's no API that you can jump on with free tier to test things out. But really the main issue that I want to highlight with Filecoin is it's built as the incentive layer for IPFS. IPFS is saying there's this incentive problem for long-term storage, and if you want to preserve data, use Filecoin. But Filecoin has its own incentive layer, so there's like this incentive layer on the incentive layer, Fill Plus, and data that we find directly on Filecoin shows that 99% of all storage in Filecoin is subsidized by Kill Plus. So we just have very strong doubts around the sustainability of the network and its future if so much of its usage is subsidized by its token. Putting all of that to one side, there's actually another way we can preserve data on chain. And I'm just going to do a brief kind of from Bitcoin to Arweave, and there's actually not that much in between. But also going to touch on some recent developments as well, because I think this is a space that will be continually evolving. So Bitcoin's Coinbase transaction is the first example of on-chain storage of recording data beyond just, transaction data and signatures. The Times, 3rd of January 2009, Chancellor on brink of 7 bailout for banks. So in that Coinbase transaction, Satoshi Nakamoto was recording human history on-chain, and we have that first point of on-chain storage of human history. Now, let's look at the structure of Bitcoin blocks, because after 2017, with the SegWit update, which stands for segregated witness, the block was separated into base transaction data and the witness data. And the witness data contains signatures and metadata, and this is where ordinals and inscriptions are stored. So this is a continuation of Satoshi's initial message in the Coinbase transaction that today we actually can store NFTs on Bitcoin. But the problem is that that's incredibly expensive because Bitcoin is not designed to store data, right? So I'm running some numbers recently using some methodologies of people who've really gone into the cost of storage on chain. You see the Bitcoin, $7.2 million. And if you wanted to store 1 gigabyte on chain, Ethereum, 9.1 million. And Solana is the real deal, the ones on the ground today, quite $500,000, but that's actually only for 1 year. So you've got the euros going this. Arweave today replaced around $17 per gigabyte. And how does it do that? How does it compare to other blockchains that enable on-chain storage for such an affordable price in comparison? Because it's doing the same thing that Bitcoin is doing. It's storing data on-chain in the witness data for each block. So there are a lot of mechanism and details around Arweave that enable it to do that, but I'm just going to touch on a few really novel mechanisms that Arweave introduces, which enables it. And one of them is the storage endowment. So Arweave has an on-chain crypto endowment, which ensures that it can store your data for 200 years on-chain. So we know that for the last 50 years, the cost of storage has been decreasing in a predictable fashion every year. The cost of storage and hardware and to store data is decreasing on average by 30% every year. It's been doing that for 50 years. So Arweave created this crypto endowment under the assumption that actually we're going to assume 0.5%. So it's 60x on the conservative side. Now, when you pay to store data on Arweave, you're paying about 17% of that fee is going to the miner as an initial reward. And the 80+ remainder is going into this endowment. And this endowment is there to ensure that miners are always incentivized to store your data perpetually. And there's a minimum threshold on Arweave for the number of full replicas of the chain, which is 20. So currently there's about 200 full replicas of Arweave. But if it were ever to approach 20, the minimum threshold, then the endowment would start releasing tokens to incentivize existing miners to store more replicas, and of course new miners to join the network. as it becomes more profitable to mine. And it's interesting to note that since Genesis block in 2018, no tokens have ever been released from Arweave. So the founder of Arweave, Sam Williams, recently said that he believes the endowment fund has enough to fund 350 years of storage. So forever, basically. The other mechanism that I want to talk about is the block weave, which is an interesting blockchain structure different to what we're used to. And this is how it ensures that miners will store the whole chain and not just data from the previous block. Because the consensus mechanism Explorer, succinct proof of random access, requires that miners have a previous block, but also a random recall block from any part of the history of the chain. And indeed, with the recent upgrades to Arweave, they even turned the screw even more so that it's basically impossible to mine on Arweave without having a full replica of the chain. So let's revisit that graph that we were looking at before, and we can see with that upfront cost, the comparison to Pinata and how for data preservation that can make a lot of sense because we can manage archives now in an efficient, sustainable way because we know what the cost is going to be. The problem is, at the beginning, the pinch point here, the graph leads us over to the top right. We see the difference is obvious. But on day one, Arweave is much more expensive if we compare it to IPFS or cloud solutions on a gigabyte level. This point also raises something that we should discuss, which is the scalability of on-chain storage. These are the positions of Arweave nodes today, and if we were to imagine that Arweave scales to, let's say, 1 to 10% of the Google Cloud platform, then what's that going to look like for a node if it's required to store the whole chain? It's going to mean that every node is basically a data center. And while this scenario isn't going to happen overnight, it's something that at the pricing level, at the mining level, there is a question mark, and the team and the ecosystem will have to make sure that Arweave can scale hopefully to this level. Some recent developments, because Arweave has been incredibly early to this problem of on-chain storage and data preservation. But recently we saw that Liston Labs, the team behind the Sui blockchain, released Walrus, a decentralized storage protocol. And that took an interesting approach to this topic. So the actual data for Walrus, when I was looking into this, is actually stored off-chain, but they refer to the protocol as being on-chain. So that got me interested in it. And you see that what they're doing is mapping an object on Sui. So you acquire a storage resource on Sui. And Sui is managing the storage loads and payments. And it's also providing this point of availability. So it's providing provable data availability with the blockchain. So I believe they took this approach to try and leverage some of the benefits of the Sui blockchain that deliver immutability, provenance, and so on, but then also having this view of scalability. And I believe there will be more to come in this field from different ecosystems of blockchains. Okay, so where does Akord come into this? We were co-founded in 2020 with mission with ownership to empower people and individuals with data ownership. And we build on Arweave, no surprise to that. We have our own vault protocol, so we offer digital vaults, which can be public and private. Private vaults are end-to-end encrypted. You control the keys. We have ton of collaboration features, file management. You can mint tokens on Arweave you can even token gate access into these vaults. We also offer these vaults on the cloud as well, so people can use that in the staging environment. And we see these as storage classes, right? So perhaps in the future we see the Akord vault protocol running on different on-chain storage solutions. And just to give you a flavor of the kind of data preservation that we're working on right now. So we're in Solana docs, the developer docs for creating a token. And we're the storage layer for Nebular, which is the biggest NFT platform in their ecosystem. So when you're thinking about trading data on chain tokens, RWA or NFTs, then obviously you want that data to never be deleted, persist for as long as possible. It's an obvious use case for on-chain storage. The Mathematic Foundation is a Buddhist organization, and they're actually storing audio recordings that were transmitted from one reincarnated Lama to the current Lama of this line, as well as ancient texts. So an incredible use case of on-chain data preservation. And on the other side, you've got Superscript, their insurance broker, publishing publicly on-chain certificates of insurance. So they want to create a race to the top. So the companies can prove that I'm insured. The insurance is up to date with that on-chain with the timestamps. And Brazil, the Belgian Cultural Institution Centre for Fine Arts. So we recently completed a project with them. They were working with Iranian artists for 5 years, EU-funded projects. And at the end of the project, they captured all the artwork into a series of websites, audio, video, imagery. A project like that, it has funding for a specific period of time. An institution like that, they'll bring a team together. And then when it's done, everyone disbands and funds finish. Then they have these assets that increasingly websites. So how do you archive a website like that? A website is just a different form of data, and you can deploy websites and applications directly on Arweave running. So we took those websites, converted them into static websites, and deployed them directly on Arweave. And finally, Veritri, a reforestation organization. And for them, they wanted the timestamp that Arweave could provide. So they were taking images of tree planting sites, sites they were planting on behalf of their corporate sustainability programs, and then uploading that data through the Akord Vault, and then they were able to share that and prove that they carried out these actions. Okay, so hopefully that was interesting and you took some insight from that. If you'd like to try out more, please go to v2.akord.com/tryout. You get 100 megabytes free of storage on chain with Arweave, so you can spin up private vault, public vault, mint some tokens, try everything out, create a public vault and share something online. And yeah, please follow us on X as well at our team. If any of you got any questions or would like to continue the conversation, hanging around for today and tomorrow, so please come find me. Yeah, thank you. It's awesome.
I didn't know this. Is that time? Yeah.
No.
You did mention like the big question mark around like, the people did me for inference, like all these things, and they make assumptions. Is that like a kind of view of what's going to happen, or is it just like an open like questions?
I would say it's somewhat of an open question because it's such a long way off. And my personal belief is that because Arweave is permanent storage, right? You can't delete data from the network. There is a transaction format in S106, do not store request, but it's intended for a very rare exceptional use for data's illegal So you can signal that to the lines. But for all intents and purposes, it's kind of you're never going to be able to take data down. In that sense, I believe that our weave will have very scoped use cases where that value proposition is not only interesting or useful, it's almost essential, like trading data on or certain archival use cases. And in that sense, I think it may not ever scale to that level because I think it will just have a very powerful proposition as fairly niche storage solution. And if it does scale to that level, it won't. It's not just happening overnight within the next few years. So I have all the confidence in the core team and the ecosystem that as things progress, the solutions will come. Like it's a very stable protocol, but like any protocol, it's still going through upgrades. And that's the situation right now. It's very performant and scalable for its purposes right now. It's just something that it's a question that gets thrown at me a lot, and I think it's a valid question and it's worth talking about openly because it is something that has to be addressed. But I think every blockchain, every ecosystem has some kind of scalability or perhaps security or some issue range. In this scenario, this happens in today, we would struggle to we're so early in these technologies. But yeah, that's the current situation that I think the network will struggle tomorrow when it's a 1% GCP. And yeah, we have something to think about.
Is it, as I understand, this is only about keeping storage in data. Is it possible to implement some decentralized computation, for example, that I can run the nodes? That this is not only about storage data, but some computing.
Okay, so you should check out AO. So this year, the core AO team released AO, which is a high parallel compute layer that's running on Arweave. So that's not a space that we're working in. So I don't want to speak to that. It's not something that I have complete up-to-date knowledge on. But yeah, there is this compute layer on top of the Arweave, which essentially enables parallel processing of smart contracts and scalability of compute. So definitely something to check out. Yeah.
Is the throughput enough for like video stream?
Yeah, definitely. If you go to Akord and upload a video, we have even with that intending encrypted vaults for streaming the content in kind of the user experience. But we're also running our own private gateway as well, which is enabling us to cache the data and provide more performance. But yeah, in Akord, you can stream videos like similar YouTube experience. We have our own media gallery, so you can view images, play audio, and everything is for it expense. Yes.
Are there different terms of use or the same terms of use for all of the data? It's in terms of like personal data, public. I don't want it to be used by an AI bot for a certain purpose.
Okay, yeah, so Arweave has a protocol UDL, Universal Data License, which is really interesting. So on Akord, public vault, there's Atomic NFT. If you click that, you use the free storage, try this out yourself. Make an NFT, and at some point in the flow, you get, you're asked if you want default UDL, no UDL, customized. If you click customize, you're going to see a ton of options, and there's a legal document which is also stored on Arweave, which this references. It's not programmatically enforceable, It enables you as a creator to specify licensing terms. So, do you grant commercial rights or derivative rights, even the right to allow AI training models to use your data? And then you can specify your algorithm wallet and token that you would like to be paid in. So you can specify a one-off fee or a monthly fee. So that's also early. So the second version of the licensing is out right now, and it lacks that programmatic enforceability, but it's a really interesting step. But outside of that, I should say as well, the starting point for Arweave, the inspiration was 1984. So in that this dystopian future, people are controlled because the regime is manipulating the past history. So it's by default public and open, and so it has a very bare bones approach. And it's projects on top of the ecosystem, like ourselves and others that kind of pushing for how to control data to encrypt it. So, although recently they did add licenses, which is great addition.